Dad Life presents live discussions on Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 4. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to live discussions on Obi-Wan Kenobi here on Geek Dad Life 2, Geeky TV and Film Reviews. My name is Jay, and this esteemed panel includes a gentleman that's the host of Owen and Brew's Barbecue, a Star Wars podcast. Matt, thank you for being here again tonight. Thank you. Welcome. And co-hosts of the most popular movie live talk show on the internet, Screen Geeks, as well as his own Star Wars focused YouTube channel, Live Action Star Wars, friend of the channel, Ralph. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Screen Geeks every Thursday right here on Geek Dad Live 2.
I'll just be doing my Owen and Brew's Barbecue with Jay on this show right now. So if you're missing that,
your host is like in the Philippines or something.
Co-host is in the Philippines and can't seem to track down the one that's in America. So happy to join you guys and talk about this, especially on the same day that it airs. I love this.
Exactly. This episode 4 dropped today. There's a lot that we need to talk about in this episode. We also have some screen memes closing out this episode. Yes. So that was a lot of fun last week. So we'll keep that tradition going. Definitely want to say hello to the chat. We got A. Troy here. We got John Rhodes, Cobweb, Overman, David V. We've also got Dartherian. It says fell flat a little bit. Okay, well, we'll talk about that. Riley Bob is here. Andy Silva, Brandon 3G. We've also got Rogo in the house. This is where the fun begins, as Happy Anakin would say, not the angry Anakin.
Happy Anakin in the middle of a space battle. Where his life's in danger.
Place. That's his happy place. All right. Well, before we get into the Star Wars, we got Stevie here as well. Good to see you, Stevie. Okay. There's a couple other screen things that have dropped today. I believe both of these, Ralph, if you're available, I think you and I will be probably taking the reins on these two shows. Right. But first up is the announcement this morning. It is Ghostbusters Day, and there is going to be a Ghostbusters animated show on Netflix. As far as I know, it's kind of far out from when this thing will actually drop. So,
based on the fact that they didn't do anything with the logo.
No. And friend of the channel, or we have friends of the channel that can give some insight. And I do think it's a little bit a ways out. But whenever it does get actually released, you best believe we'll be covering here. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. I think we're only like 9 subscribers away from 200 subscribers on Geek Dad Life. Wow. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't done yet. We're definitely going to cover this show here. And then another one just dropped like 30 minutes ago, an hour ago.
Maybe an hour ago.
And as one of the executive producer, head of original content at Netflix, and friend of the channel, Ted Biaselli, who's running this show, sent me like a message on Facebook once it was announced, like, hey, here it is. Finally, we can unpin it. So Masters of the Universe Revolution, the second series, if you will, in this new kind of adult-focused Masters of the Universe show is coming out. Only 5 episodes. And from what Ted has said, it's going to be very focused on just He-Man and Skeletor. And clearly that's Randor's crown there. So very, very excited to see what happens to the show. But again, Ralph, you and I will probably cover this like we did season or Revelation.
Yeah, we just canceled our Netflix like last month too. So
is that why the stocks went? Okay,
it's
because of me.
Yeah, well, you say you want a revolution. Trying to pull a Beatles reference in there somehow. But that graphic though, the sword's cutting off the crown, kind of makes you think.
It's kind of it's like
there's a
air of
sort of decapitation.
We'll see how that one. I'm excited. I'm excited about that show. But okay, that's enough of the non-Star Wars talk, gents. Let's get into it. Last week's episode.
They're going to talk about Black Adam.
Last week's episode just ended on such a climactic high note. It was kind of those things like where this episode could feel like an exhale or like let's get a little bit more subdued maybe. But personally, I feel like it just kept going. I feel like the pace kept going, and the story really
and the mysteries.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a huge kind of like, what the heck's going on here kind of moment.
Yeah.
So
are you talking about the
Toon
Amber Jedi?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Jurassic Park with my son recently, and so I see those Jedi in amber, and I'm like, the music starts playing in my mind. I'm like, uh-oh.
But also like clearly this has been hinted at a lot of times. Like Palpatine was trying to find the midichlorians and DNA and stuff, so it makes sense. They're leveraging amber here because that's how you get DNA from.
Apparently, you just freeze all of the Jedi in amber.
Yeah.
Some nice also, like, I mean, this definitely relates to some of the things we've seen in the animated series with the Bad Batch, the end of the Bad Batch season 1. It left some questions about cloning going on.
Yeah.
Obviously, they keep playing around with these secrets of cloning going on in the background of all of their shows. The Mandalorian, obviously, but then also in what was the other cloning reference I was thinking about? And now I'm just completely
Skywalker.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
Right, yeah, Rise of Skywalker, of course. But I thought there was another reference to an animated show in this episode. Maybe it was Rebels. Oh yeah, that's right. Rebels, the use of the dead Jedi to lure Jedis.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about
really it kind of answers a little bit of that question, or that mystery. Not that all mysteries have to have answers, but it does kind of start to fill in some gaps there.
It really does. I forgot about that, and that was a crazy episode too of Rebels. Welcome to Jedi Park.
They start well. I mean, to Palpatine's idea, though, he was trying to pull all of these different strands of I guess cloning force together to create this ultimate being that he could be immortal in. I guess.
Yeah,
the idea. So
do you feel that though? I felt like this sort of fortress, it's in the Mustafar system, and I feel like it's not part of what the Emperor is up to. I feel like it's more Vader centric.
See, my understanding was that the Emperor was in charge of the Inquisitors. Vader was upset with the Emperor because he basically created a whole group or a whole troop or army. And Vader, if you notice, is kind of separate from the Inquisitors, but also kind of has influence on them. So they're, I kind of think of them almost as like branches of underneath the Emperor.
It's fascinating how much the Inquisitors it's like an evil parallel to the Jedi Order, where like they're taking kids when they're young. And instead of like teaching them the way of the Jedi, they're just like teaching them the way of fear and the way that even though there can only be two, it's very clearly like a parallel to the Jedi Order in a lot of ways, with getting kids young and then kind of raising them to be Inquisitors. Those parallels were not lost on me anyway, as I watched this episode, especially as we continue to kind of follow Third Sister and
her train of thought and kind of a little bit more peek behind the curtain. So I would imagine that some fanboys are really upset that she basically pulled Vader's move from A New Hope.
Like, Vader figured it out. It was
Vader's like, oh, I'm gonna use that again. That's pretty good.
I also love how it's I always just like, how did Leia know? It's like, clearly they're tracking us. It's the only way we got away so easy. Boom, answered it in this episode.
That's true.
Wise to it now.
She's like, been there, done that.
Exactly.
Where's my Lola?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh no, I was on a different
Arthurian the Sith. Oh wait, wrong one. Sorry. Oh, did I remove no, here we go. It's a Toy Geeks reference, I guess. More. She was even more evil because they use Lola.
Oh.
I kind of like that was there because while she was like playing with it, I was like, why didn't she just break it? Or like, why, like, what's the,
I thought she was going to break it. Yeah.
yeah. And to me, it made her whole motivations of this whole thing make more sense. I was like, why is she holding back? She's like really holding back. She wanted them to come and rescue her and take her away the whole time. And it kind of just explains her motivations throughout this episode in a way that makes a lot of sense. Ralph, what was your thoughts here with Reva's story?
I don't think it was her goal the whole time. Because I mean, I feel like if you have Obi-Wan and Princess Leia there,
Mm-hmm.
and Vader pops in like mere seconds after they escape,
Yeah,
like just let Vader take over. Why let him go? Is there something beyond just getting to Obi-Wan?
Well, but I think she wants to find out wherever this path is, right? And so
yeah,
sure, you could get.
Is she looking for someone?
It's exactly right. Like there's so many motivations for her that are still not revealed. There's only 2 episodes left. That I think that's something to be cognizant of, is that there's not a lot of time left to get these things. It's not like Stranger Things where now the episodes are going to be 2 hours long. So time.
Well, this episode was short.
It was only 37 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Really short.
Yeah. And maybe that's why some fans were complaining that it was shorter. I still felt like I got a lot because it felt like a Clone Wars episode to me, with Obi-Wan finally getting back in the flow. Like, oh, this is how these stormtroopers are easier.
Yep. Yeah, he's like, oh wow, the quality has really dropped off from Clone Trooper to Stormtrooper.
Right. Well, that Django DNA.
But and still, there's been rumors of a season 2. It's supposed to be just a one and done, as far as I know, right?
Yeah, I think Ewan McGregor mentioned at some point that if there's something
that was like very early
on, sort of like
pre-development, I think. Yeah,
if there's something that'll make him something that's good enough to create a second season, that he would do it. But I feel like this is like, as of right now, like I feel like 6 episodes is good. It's good enough.
Yeah.
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 And any of the mysteries that they set up, I feel like we can get more of these elements. I mean, I don't know if you guys have played Jedi Fallen Order. I have not, but I know there are references to it in this episode. Yeah. Which has got to be the most out of any Star Wars video game to come into live action. As far as I know, like for a video game to like have influence, an independently made video game. I'm not talking about the ones made from the movies, but for the movies, but to have an independent, like Shadows of the Empire, like did it have really any influence on any live action aside from seeing Dash Rendar's ship maybe and some random backdrop thing? I mean, this had the most amount. So.
The corridor scene, like the holding up the water stuff it was Vader, I think, was the one that was like, channeling the water as it broke through. So tons and tons of references. The torture chamber, that whole sequence was in there. Like there was a lot.
The Inquisitor room, the interrogation room is also from the video game.
Yep.
And the also the hallway with the water scene. I think more people have played, Fallen Order than they've watched Star Wars Resistance, the cartoon. And why would you? But there is a really cool moment in the season 1 final of that show where there's a underwater kind of scene that's kind of similar. There's elements there where you see troopers kind of floating in corridors of water that's kind of gushing away. And so, I was watching it and I was getting those elements and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then of course I heard about the Fallen Order elements.
Yeah, I watched some like Screen Crush and stuff like that, and I saw a lot of those clips being thrown in. KMD Baby, Shadows of the Empire is awesome. We need a series on that. Dartherian, for me, it felt like they rushed the escape. It might just be runtime, but it seemed too easy. that's kind of where it all makes sense to me, is that she wanted them to come pick him up so that they could take him to the path, the headquarters of the path, so that she can kind of stomp it out, right?
Right.
Clearly she either succeeds or she dies, based on, Vader coming in, just like strutting in with the Hayden Christensen strut. And his voice in that, it was like a little bit of James Earl Jones, but a lot of Hayden Christensen. Did you guys get a sense of that?
Yeah. I feel like they're taking Hayden Christensen's performance and then putting the modulated voice on top of that. So you're not getting the James Earl Jones cadence.
Yeah.
You're getting the Hayden Christensen cadence, which I think is perfect for a bridging of him as a sequel character or him as a prequel character and then an original trilogy character. So I kind of dug it. It felt it definitely, that one scene where he came in all mad felt like a perfect blend of both Darth Vader performances.
Yep. Agreed. I think what this series has done really well, and I know a lot of people dump on Disney Star Wars, but they've handled Darth Vader really well. And especially in this series, it feels like it really is bridging the two, right? Because I think one of the criticisms of the prequel series is like, this whiny guy is Darth Vader. That doesn't sync up, right? Because Darth Vader is just, arguably the greatest movie villain of all time, and Anakin was like really whiny. And there's like, this doesn't track, but like there is a merging there, because you see the anger and just that Anakin presence in Vader, but he's menacing. Like, he's a really scary character at the same time.
It's amazing with all of the money thrown around with Disney and stuff that they didn't ever think, Darth Vader movie. You know what? We should just do a Darth Vader. I get it that the saga, the 6 episodes are basically Darth Vader's story, but this in between time between A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith, like, you could legit have a Vader series 6-episode TV show and show.
We mentioned this on live action Star Wars earlier. James.
Oh, is that a show that you're
our
on?
guest? And Adam, we're discussing not necessarily in Obi-Wan season 2, but sort of make it like Vader, like do a Vader thing where Obi-Wan could be in there a little bit, but I for the most part am just done. I'm done with this 45-year chunk of Star Wars.
Oh, don't be like Nick.
Like no, but I mean, we've seen so much of it. I'm really excited to. I think my issue is continuing to watch stories based on characters we already know their fate.
It's true.
I think that's what's good about Mandalorian is his fate's up for grabs. But I mean, we're getting Andor. Ahsoka, I guess, is going to be kind of moving forward, but I'd really like something post sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I don't feel like you can really. I don't feel like you can talk about Ahsoka. I'm sorry, Ralph. Like you're just not a diehard Rebels fan. Like it's season 5 Rebels. Like all of us Rebel fans out here are just like Ahsoka.
Rebels is my favorite animated series. The rest of it goes kick rocks. if anything, Rebels is the one I like, and I've actually watched more than once.
It's addictive.
Clone Wars is too big. It's hard to do a rewatch.
Clone Wars is Wikipedia, okay? All right.
Yeah.
Whereas Rebels feels kind of more like I don't know. I don't have a website analogy for that one, but Clone Wars feels like Wikipedia in the fact that you're jumping around from story to story, or Wikipedia.
Yeah, I think all of these is more appropriate reference there, but I do agree that the stakes it does pull back the story a little bit, and so that's where it makes Obi-Wan as a series for people that love these characters and want to see more of them, right? And so it's the story is not going to be as maybe grandiose, because you know what's going to happen. Like, Vader's Obi-Wan's going to live, Leia's going to live.
But right now, the most interesting characters to me is Tala and Reva. Like, I have no idea what happens to them. And there was a scene in this episode where they're both together.
Yeah,
pretty much staring each other down. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. This is exciting. It's tense.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, meanwhile, like Obi-Wan could get caught, or Princess Leia can get tortured, whatever. They're fine. They're going to be fine. I know they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I've seen them be fine.
Yeah.
I've also seen both of those characters die, and when they die.
Yeah.
But when you see Reva and it's Tala, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what I want to see. I want to see new characters, and I don't want it set in a time that's we already know.
Yep.
So one of the things, and I'll just dive or diverge just slightly in the Star Wars universe. I've really enjoyed the High Republic series just as audiobooks. They put a lot of audio money into making those really come to life. So for those of you that like audiobooks or just even podcasts and you want some new Star Wars, I highly recommend those High Republic audiobooks. Even if you just hit the main ones, there are several to fill in the gaps in between. But I've really enjoyed those just because it does dive into a whole other period where there's new characters. And I'm with Ralph. I'm like, hey, let's go really early Star Wars, or let's go really late Star Wars, and start to kind of make this poem become even more epic. I want
to see a Broom Man series.
Broom Man series.
Or but that's sister series would be great. That one lady with the headdress, I was like, is that a Night Sister? Maybe, possibly. But in the Amber. But that's kind of what I loved. Scott D, is an audiobook live action, Ralph.
It's hard because it's real. It's actors portraying the characters, but so is the animated series. So I do not know if we would cover it on live action Star Wars, the show that I do every Wednesday, immediately following.
You all first hashtag first. Okay, so
I'll post that as my next episode. I'll just put first.
That's what I loved about The Last Jedi. I think a lot of people hate about The Last Jedi, but I love that the Last Jedi basically was just like, screw the Skywalkers. Like, there's more beyond this, beyond the Skywalkers screwing up the galaxy. There's so much more to tap into, and that that scene with the broom and everything. Like, it's just and again, I'm not saying The Last Jedi is perfect. I think there's a lot of things you can critique about it, but it sold me on that. Just I am no one. There's no lineage here. I'm just somebody that's strong in the Force. You kill Snoke because he doesn't matter, and let go of the past. And you have this kid that's Force sensitive, and let's go somewhere else. And I loved how that set up, because I was like, yeah, let's do this. Whatever. Like, let's do something new. And
it's slower, less intense. That's what was new.
No, I mean, it pushed against everything that came before for those characters. I think what was missing is that we didn't have the grand adventure of this unit going out together. But Empire broke them up too. Empire broke them up. Attack of the Clones broke up the main group. So, but as far as this episode,
it's one of the reasons why I like Solo so much.
Yeah,
because you don't deal a lot with the Empire.
It is more classic Star Wars adventure. Yeah. And who knows if we'll ever get that Lando series.
I want it so bad. I need more Donald Glover as Lando. I freaking love him as Lando. Okay. Let's talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi's story arc here, because I found it really compelling. Again, even though we know Obi-Wan's going to be okay, I really like this journey for the character in this series. Clearly removed from the Force, clearly still haunted by, what happened at the end of Revenge of the Sith, PTSD. I mean, you could argue that both Anakin and Obi-Wan died in Mustafar. And so it was, and we've joked about it, Matt, but like the training montage for Obi-Wan, he didn't quite have it here, but this was, I assume this was the episode where we talked about it, like, when's Obi-Wan going to get his groove back? And I felt like this episode gave us that. Obi-Wan finally got his own hallway scene, so now he is in the illustrious company of Luke, Vader, and Darth Maul, and now Obi-Wan had his hallway scene. But thoughts on Obi-Wan's journey here. Matt, we'll go to you first, and then Ralph, we'll get your thoughts. Matt, what was your thoughts?
I love the moment where he's just using something very small,
Yes.
and just kind of like you can kind of almost, and you're like, is that enough?
Yeah,
But then,
oh, honey, you need to step it up.
We need some big, things, but size matters not. And so,
True. Yeah.
His journey to even like this discovery, and I know I jumped into that right away, but the horrors that he sees there, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what it does make you wonder, like, about a season 2, or what, how does he go back to seclusion? I guess that's kind of like, okay, we're seeing this rise, and this series up to this point, or these 4 episodes have been a chase. He keeps getting further and further away from that hermit Ben.
Yes.
And now, maybe with each episode we are getting back to Clone Wars Kenobi, and maybe we're going to see that kind of moment where he's got to put it down, with a shaky hand. So
hey, listen, he had his iconic prequel lightsaber twist swirl thing. So
anyway, that's my.
Ralph, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think he'll end up getting pretty much demolished, left for dead. Still, I think that's going to happen. The same
Has
way
to.
that
I think. I mean, that's the only way they're going to give up. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
But the thing is, so like he shut himself off from the Force, and he's been safe. We start out this episode with him in a bacta tank, sort of wrestling mentally with Anakin.
Yeah. Yep.
And I feel like the reason why he goes back to being a hermit is because the only way he's going to protect these kids is completely shutting off from the Force again. I think that what's happening is, as long as Vader knows Obi-Wan's alive, it's because of the Force.
Sure.
And I feel like Obi-Wan's going to shut himself off from the Force until he goes back to the Death Star. And he's going to do his little Jedi ping to Anakin. And Anakin's going to say, it's a presence I haven't felt since.
Sure.
Whenever. And the only reason Obi-Wan decided to start tapping into the Force again is to make sure that Luke and Leia can get out of there alive.
But see, that's where I kind of have to disagree with that take. I understand the logic behind it, but he has to train with Qui-Gon to be more in tune with the Force than, aside from Qui-Gon at that point, had ever done before, become one with the living Force and be able to become immortal in this time frame where he clearly has not, like, that was what Yoda set him up with at the end of Revenge of the Sith. It's been 10 years. Clearly hasn't been able to, like, connect with Qui-Gon, his old buddy, to figure that out. And from this point, whenever this series happens and ends, we only have 2 episodes left. And was it 9 years in the future when A New Hope happens? He has to
You don't need to see the full training, though. You don't need to see the whole training within the next 2 episodes. You really only need to get an inkling of he's finally connected with Qui-Gon and he plants the seeds, and then we fill the gaps. We know that the next 9 years that he continued that training, so that when he says
using the Force, he's not shutting himself off with the Force.
Okay, what if Vader just smelled patchouli oil and he was like, "Oh, I smell a presence I haven't smelled since," and he's like, "Oh, it's that old hippie."
No, I mean, it's clearly he felt it, right? Like he felt it on the Death Star.
Yes.
Clearly.
Oh, and we get to see him use that little Star Wars Death Star like thing where he motions to get the sound.
He did the
I love that. You did the thing.
And he had this, and the stormtroopers would be like, "What was that?" I also love that the stormtroopers were like, "I hate this place. I don't want to be here." You couldn't hear it. I always watch things in subtitles, so you could see it in the subtitles. But I freaking love that. But so to me, like, I understand the shock, but I think Anakin hates sand and Tatooine so much he would never go there, which is why I think it was the perfect place, right? It's where his brother died. There's so much pain there.
Yeah.
And I still think that second season Rebels episode reveals that Vader still knows he's alive. Dartharian, the thing is, Vader still isn't anywhere close to heading to Tatooine at this point. The Inquisitors never picked up that Obi-Wan was there in the first episodes.
But the thing is, Darth Vader has a discussion with Tarkin about Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
And Tarkin says, surely he must be dead by now.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of time in between now and then where it's assumed that he's dead. So whatever Obi-Wan is doing, maybe he's able to focus on Qui-Gon's teachings and continue to use the Force without allowing the dark side to find him.
Yeah.
Yep. Because he's clearly like in Star Wars, it's the first time he's felt his presence in a long time.
Yeah.
So I feel like the way this show's been going, once we get through these next 2 episodes, it's going to be a lot easier to be like, okay, these are the gaps that they've set up or filled, and we're good to go. I don't think it's going to be any sort of issue. One interesting thing with this episode is that up until this episode, we've been just like knowing that Princess Leia knows Obi-Wan Kenobi as Ben.
Right.
But Reva refers to him as Obi-Wan to her.
Yeah.
So now
it's clear that she knows him.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. Like, to me, that's an easier continuity thing to explain. Like, she's not gonna be like, "Hey, Obi-Wan, it's me. Remember me? Like, we had that crazy adventure together." Like, no, she's gonna get right to the
she never
point.
sees him.
It's this treasonous thing to put that communication out in R2 unit. She's basically trying to just call out to him and be like, "Hey, like, I need your help." So to me, like, that's easier to explain than Leia going like, "Oh, I remember my dead mother, my real mother. She was sad and all that kind of stuff, and she died way before." So
remember when you held my hand?
Yeah, but that's what was great. That was what was great about last week's episode, is that conversation about Obi-Wan being taken when he was very young and having just sort of imprints of his family, and he thinks he remembers seeing a brother. So that kind of helps explain Leia if she starts becoming sort of like she's Force sensitive. And we haven't seen her do anything Force related until like the sequel trilogy. Or I guess in Empire Strikes Back, she see it in the season. Sort of has a sense.
We've seen it in the season. She uses the Force to understand what people are thinking.
Yep.
She's used it multiple times.
Princess Leia?
She doesn't realize that.
Princess Leia, she's definitely been using the Force this season as a child to understand what people are thinking. Check the tapes.
Well, I do
the site references. I don't know. Like what? I don't.
Okay. Well, there's a moment when Kenobi even says like, "Whoa, you're pretty." He kind of like recognizes that she's.
Sorry, there we go.
There we go. Well, he says something to her about like, "Oh, you're pretty well along for your age," or something like that. Like he's kind of like because she's observant.
Yeah.
But she's observing these things through the Force.
Yeah.
So Obi-Wan knows who her parents are.
Sure.
Of course he knows she's Force sensitive. But I don't know if she's using the Force.
She's using
she may be aware of it. It's because she asks about the Force, what it feels like, probably because she has some sense of like, is it something that I have? But he doesn't flat out tell her, you have it.
I don't think I don't think he's noticed it. He's a misogynist. Okay, he focused on the boy clearly.
Yeah, he's gotta know.
There's a couple comments in the chat that I do want to press in here. This kind of going back to the "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." Leia's message was a formal request from Bale for assistance. Diplomacy would have ruled in that moment, just like at the end of A New Hope. She says, "We have no time for our sorrows." I agree. Like, it's in character, in my opinion, for Leia, especially because she's very much that leader. That senator that knows how to communicate that way, and it makes again, out of all the plot holes that are in Star Wars, one of the easier ones to make sense out of. Again, they made up this story as it went along. There's going to be plot holes. It's just, it is what it is. Hey Troy, also all I need is a scene where Qui-Gon drops in like Obi-Wan did for Luke at the end of A New Hope. Even just Qui-Gon threatening whoever has taken Leia in a key moment, and only Obi can hear it, and it clicks.
Oh, that would be sweet.
That would be sweet. I think that would be good. Gap, I missed a few minutes here, so sorry if this was mentioned already. But did you take the Leia scene to show that Reva knows Leia has the Force? I didn't, but we'll talk about. I do want to talk about Leia's story in this episode for sure. Scott, do you think Reva blames Obi-Wan because he's the one who put out that holocron message and broadcast, which gave her some hope that he'd help, but he never came? And her life was terrible.
Thought about that.
A reference from Rebels, right, where there's that message. Matt, do you want to expand on that a little bit?
The the message that he puts out at that we see, I guess multiple times on a hologram message, basically. So I don't remember the message off the top of my head.
Something like, I don't know.
It's cool because it's kind of blending the two Obi-Wans too, because you're seeing kind of like this. It's not the original message that Yoda and Obi-Wan put out, right?
No, I don't think so.
It's different.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Leia's story in this episode, because I thought, again, it's been such a compelling story for her, and the actress playing her is doing an amazing job. Some amazing moments and just a lot of echoes to A New Hope here, like her being interrogated, and kind of playing it sly and not giving in and not giving up the information. I thought was fantastic. And is this a staring contest line was amazing. And then the last scene, or one of the last scenes in the episode, of her holding Obi-Wan's hand, like just melted tears. It was such a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
Thoughts here on Leia's progression in this episode? I thought was again just it's been a stellar performance this entire series. One of the breakout performances for sure. Ralph, you get first pass here on this.
I think it's good. I think it's good. It's really like I mean, I didn't even think I would see Leia in this series for some reason. And that's like the genius of the people who cut the trailer and just showed Luke.
Yeah, right.
Because we're like, oh, how much Luke are we going to get?
Yeah.
Are we going to get a lot? Or are we going to get a no? You're going to get what you saw, and then you're going to get Leia the rest of the time. Like, I never thought of that. I do like the Seeds Planet. I do feel like when she says they're tracking us, it's the only explanation for the ease of our escape. It's because they're going to find out that Lola has a tracker.
Yeah,
obviously. So I do like this sort of going back and having Tala be an influence. I'm interested to see how she'll react with the O'Shea Jackson group and stuff like that. Because clearly these guys aren't warriors.
No.
When they came in on the snow speeders, like clearly they were not. They were in over their head.
Yeah, those are air speeders.
It's
air speeders. What
they're modified for the snow.
Cad or whatever. What was that guy's name? It was just like,
oh yeah, he did not make it.
Yeah. What was it?
Willis Walter or something like that.
I like Walt. It's a Lost reference.
But it'll be interesting seeing her with a small band of rebels who are just starting to get into this stuff, and see how that influences her and the fight. I mean, clearly she now has a personal thing against Inquisitors and associates that with Imperial officers, and stormtroopers, all trying to kill her. So from a very young age, we're getting glimpses into what makes her tick. And
it ties so well into A New Hope, where it's just like Leia's there with Vader, and she does not give AF.
Right. And now we know why she has no AF. Right.
And just like has like this gumption that's just like, dang, like, all these other people are afraid, and like Leia's like, you're breaking rules with the Imperial Senate, blah blah blah. You're going down for like, it's like, that's Darth Vader. He just killed a guy. He just killed Antilles. Like, what?
Yeah, and she's standing up to him.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I like what Ralph's saying there too. I mean, for any child, you're going to have these events in your life that like shape you, and we're actually kind of seeing that with Leia, which is amazing. So it was Wade, and we will shed a tear. This episode is brought to you by Wade's memory.
Pour one out for Wade.
Pour one out for Wade.
Like, am I so desensitized for random people getting blown out of the sky at Star Wars? Like, what's the big deal? Like,
fake Rose.
But what's great about this is it's showing you where they're at. They're not desensitized to this. They're like a single death is like the worst.
Yeah. Well, we had faux Rose and Roken, who looks like oh God, what is his name from Rogue One? I thought he was what's his name? God, why can't I think of names right now? Anyway, I'll just jump back to Leia's points and her character.
Yeah, you haven't gotten a chance to speak about Leia. Go ahead.
So Leia, and like early on when we see her use the Force in part 1 with her cousin and reads her mind, reads his mind, and we see that fiery, fear. I can't talk.
Spitfires,
Why can't I talk tonight?
It's okay.
I'm trying to
more names you can't come up with.
Names.
Fire spray? Were you saying fire spray?
It was a slave one or something. No, I like seeing like that fiery spirit in her at a young age, and then now we get to see kind of like, oh, all of these things happen to her. This is why she has such a hatred for it. And I don't know if we're gonna get it, but Ralph, I mean, you just kind of like you were like talking about these rebels that they're clearly going to be with. If we could see Leia at a young age pull out a Padme where she's like, okay, you do this and we're going to do that. And Saw Gerrera. Thank you, Andy. There's a reason why you watch. Yeah, I mean, immediately I was like, is that Saw? I was like, no, he's not wild.
Yeah, because in Rebels, he was a bona fide, not playing by the rules.
Yeah.
Guy,
Right. And that's clearly.
It'll be cool to see if we get a sort of mix between Clone Wars and Rebels. Saw Gerrera.
It was
still de-aged. Still in the series, you mean?
A de-aged Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah.
I find him to be a really compelling character in Clone Wars and Rebels. He's kind of underused in Rogue One. I know there's a lot of like re-edits and stuff like that. He's just he was clearly like Vaderized. There wasn't much left of him at that point. But Saw Gerrera is just he's like quintessential, like is on the side of the good guys, but clearly is doing things
chaotic
good guys don't do, right?
Yeah.
I
think we're gonna get a little bit of him in Andor, aren't we?
We should. The Andor show should tap into him.
Yeah.
Can we get a little bit of Andor in this?
I thought we were going to get a little Kenobi in Andor. Actually. Yeah. I don't know why.
So.
Yeah. I guess mainly because I've always hoped, I'm sure as Ralph has, that we're going to get something more with the temples on Yavin, I mean, because there was always like...
We've only seen the hangar in the briefing room.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, I love Yavin 4. I mean, like, who doesn't want to hang out there in that time period? So I assume maybe in Andor we'll get a little bit of that. But no, Leia's character is great. Really enjoy her, and the actress incredible. I thought Tala, the actress that plays her, Indira.
The thing is, like, she is an actor, right? Like,
she is, yeah. She's so.
Has done multiple roles where she has been fantastic. Kid actors is so hard. It's so easy for that to go bad.
Yeah.
Especially a kid actor that's portraying an iconic film character. Like one of the most iconic princess women, badass women.
I just feel bad for the actress that plays Reva because she's been under more fire than and at least the actress that is not playing Leia isn't like being attacked by like all of these haters, because that would be awful for a 10-year-old actress to have to deal with like fanaticry.
Jake Lloyd, what happened to
Jake Lloyd? Yeah, exactly.
Horrible.
Yeah,
horrible what happened to Jake Lloyd. And that's where there's just this sequence of what has happened to Star Wars actors, and I wouldn't even call it the fandom, but just like the dredge of humanity that for some reason, for so many Star Wars actors, just comes out and just
it's weird too because I know that Marvel fans are really just as insipid and like horrible. But why don't we hear about that? Like they don't like, is it because Marvel's so big and those fans have been crushed down for so long that they're just happy with whatever TV and movies they get? Asking for
Nick's
a friend.
Not watching, is he?
No.
But yeah, it's Vivian. Lyra Blair is the young lady who is playing her. But but again, like, that's like a kid. They probably don't know the stakes, and that's what's so sad about Jake Lloyd and what happened to him. Is like he was a kid. Like they're just like the venom that ruined his life is awful, and for Moses Ingram as well. Like there and Daisy Ridley and like so many actors that have just been, and Hayden Christensen too. Like there's this history of just absolutely just disgusting behavior towards.
And I mentioned Rose earlier, but
Rose, like there's just. And the thing is,
Kelly Marie Tran. Yeah, she was. I mean, she suffered such horrible slings and arrows. So
and so and there's a meme in here that'll do it in Scream memes as we close out the show. But like, Star Wars is not freaking Citizen Kane. Like the dialogue is clunky. Like Mark Hamill, all the interviews from the 70s, he was making fun of how stupid the dialogue is. Like it's a fun adventure. It's like Star Wars has always been that. It's only really episode 5 that had amazing dialogue. Other than that, there's a lot of clunky, cheesy dialogue, right? I mean, Ralph, like there's a history. Like it's never been high theater, right? Or like what is this perception? That's weird.
These movies are based on like serials like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, and those aren't known for being like well done. They're made for kids. It was a way to get kids in the theater, come back, because they lay it on a cliffhanger and they'd get you to come back to watch the next one. That's all it is. That's all it is. Like we as older gentlemen shouldn't be discussing this show because it's not made for us. But we just happen to be like kids at heart and enjoy the continuing stories. And I feel like
that's a fair way to put it, because to enjoy it as a kid at heart. And when we approach it as an adult, where we're like, I want it to be harder edge, or I want it to be darker. I mean, we see what happens when DC goes too dark, right? It's just you can never go light again. So, I mean, keeping that childhood wonder about it. I mean, when I watch the show with my kids, and I do because they wake up on Wednesday, Ralph, and they're like Wednesday morning. It's like a Saturday morning cereal. Legit.
It's like hurry up! Live action Star Wars is about to
come
start.
on, Dad, get your coffee. Let's watch it. Yeah. Well, but that aspect of just jumping into the action of it, right, and just enjoying it, and I'm not mad because my daughter is giggling because she gets to enjoy Leia. Like it's a win-win, So if some fanboys out there that's just like, I didn't want Leia in this. Well, this one's not for you, kid. On to the next one.
Yeah, and
so, I didn't care for. I saw the first couple episodes of Resistance, and guess what? It wasn't for me, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't go on like Resistance Reddit and start like laying down fire bombs.
Yeah.
So I just didn't watch it.
It's the only reason I watched it was because it was right up my son's alley. I mean, spaceships racing and so Star Wars has something for everybody. And if you don't like it, then maybe this one's not for you.
Find the different thing.
Find the different thing.
Like there's tons of stuff.
Yeah.
You got anything from Empire Strikes Back to Jedi Temple Challenge. Like there's so much Star Wars out there.
Dude, you just mentioned Jedi Temple Challenge, and they're not going to have another one. It's like just a one and done series, right?
I'm assuming.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
It was such a fun show.
Kind of squashed it.
Yeah. So.
But it's true though, like, because then you have people like, I want a grown-up version of this thing, and then like Ralph and I covered Masters of the Universe Revelation, which was like, let's Game of Thrones He-Man, and Ralph, like, it was one of the most popular things we ever covered, but oh my god, the
hate
that we were getting by saying we liked it was insane.
Yeah, we were accused of getting paid off by Netflix.
Yes.
Oh. That's not the first time that Jay's been accused of being paid off by a TV network.
That's true, but
for liking something. Something.
People like it was the grossest online reaction I've ever experienced. And both Ralph and I have been covering TV shows on the internet for 17 years.
Oh yeah,
your
combined amount.
I was wearing this shirt, which is based off a character, Madman, and someone referred to me as the guy in the Bazinga shirt, and then proceeded to tell me why I was wrong.
That's great.
Which, you know, at the end of the day, like, I don't put any stock into online comments, you know, whatever. Yeah. But it is interesting to see how harsh people say it. And you know, a final thought here that I did want to cover before we get into screen memes is, and I've seen, like, it's weird after the last episode, especially, it's like people are saying like, oh, this show sucks, or this isn't good Star Wars, or whatever.
Oh, I heard this show is bad.
Yeah, I heard this show is bad. I'm just like,
what? Have you watched
it? I'm not getting that. I could see it
listening to other people and form your own opinions.
Right.
There you go.
And it's like, I could see that if I saw that on an internet or whatever for Book of Boba, it was like, okay, it's not perfect story. It's kind of all over the place, but there's good Star Wars in there.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. If you think it's bad, that's fine. But I'm not getting that read at all in Obi-Wan. Gentlemen, thoughts, like, what? Because even like the reviewers, and it may be a review bombed, but it's like 59% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, well, yeah, they've been a vocal section of the fandom did not care for the fact that Ewan McGregor said "Don't be racist" in a video that he shot in his car, and so they all went to Rotten Tomatoes and started downvoting it or whatever.
This is what I think about, like, some of these votings. You know, I mean, we've been around the internets forever, since it was created, and have we not learned anything from voting on the internet? It can all be faked. I mean, there's enough robobots that you can create.
Did you guys watch the Oscars last year, or the last Oscars, where every single like fan poll thing that won was a Zack Snyder project?
Oh wow.
like best movie of the year was like Army of the Dead.
Huh.
It's crazy, dude. There's just little sections of fans out there that really go all out, and unfortunately, news outlets will pick up on that and try to make a real thing out of it. But I was at Celebration a couple weeks ago. Everyone loved Obi-Wan. Everybody loved Star Wars. Everybody enjoyed talking about it and hanging out. And and it's like all these awful people that are saying bad things are just hiding behind the internet.
Mm-hmm. And it's almost like they want it to fail. It's a weird, like, well, okay, like I'm not going out of my way to make the most recent Harry Potter things suffer just because I want to get my kicks off of that, like, because I hate Harry Potter fans. I don't hate Harry Potter.
Saying perfect. I'm not saying it's the best Star Wars ever, but I've really enjoyed it. It's like Clone Wars episodes a lot of the time, and like and Vader's been awesome, and I nobody's phoning it in, and so like it's out of all the Disney shows, like I think it's like it's up there with Mandalorian.
Still my favorite.
Really enjoying
it. I think this episode was the weakest of the series. Mm-hmm. I didn't care for it too much because I feel like if you were to pluck this out of the series, we would have been left in the same spot we were like last week with Tala and Princess Leia and Obi-Wan running away from the Inquisitors.
Well, she was captured, obviously, and then you had that whole aspect.
But I mean, you could take that.
Yeah.
So but the thing is, it's still my favorite series that's been released.
Yeah.
I like it. I've been enjoying it a lot more than Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian. Those are fine shows, but this is my favorite live action Star Wars show.
I have high hopes for the next 2 episodes, but if it finishes strong, I still think it's better than season 1 Mandalorian. I know it's got the hype, it's got the Grogu, but I just, if it wraps up the story as far as these aspects or these elements, and it's got to deliver on at least the next matchup between Kenobi and Vader. By the way, it did seem in this episode as though Riva is still more possessed by finding Kenobi, and the path, which I felt was a little bit more revealed, and it moved that story a little bit further. She seems more possessed.
That piece of the Jedi thing out of that room. She's like,
yeah. It looked like she used a pocket knife too. She's like, like she's got a lightsaber. She's like over there sawing,
no, great call out. The Riva thing again. There's not that much time left. I'm surprised there was no Clone Wars flashback. You had a back to tank scene, and if anything, Book of Boba Fett taught us is that when you're in the back to tank, you have a flashback, and we didn't have a Clone Wars flashback. And yeah, I'm surprised that
okay. Do you think
that's
we're gonna
good? It's keeping you on your toes.
It's true. That's true.
Do you think we're gonna get any resolution or understand exactly what happened to the Grand Inquisitor by the time this series is over? Or is it just gonna be
have to? Maybe it's like a post-credit scene. It's an equivalent of that meme of just like I lived.
Yeah. He wakes up in a Bacta tank.
Yeah, maybe.
And his head's long.
And his head's long. His head's more my shape. So
the surgery lengthened your head.
We gave you more brains.
And the same tattoo. Good stuff though. I liked this episode.
I do agree. Like season 2 of Mandalorian is still my favorite so far.
It edges it out for me too, still a little bit. But I want to see how this show ends.
That finale was so good, and just the Luke appear. Like even if the Uncanny Valley was, and some people didn't like the.
It didn't take me out of
Boba Fett appearance, but I thought that was really good compared to the other one. But still, like all things considered, like Mandalorian season 2 is still my favorite. But this is pretty close. It's like 1A, 1B right now for me.
It's 4.87 to 4.8.
Yeah. I think that's fair. So we'll see. Any other thoughts? Final thoughts before we move on to screen memes? Ralph, final thoughts.
I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I probably wouldn't be here. I think I mentioned it last time because honestly, like you would think you'd get sick of talking about Star Wars. I mean, I did a show. I don't know if you know this or not, but I talked about this episode earlier this morning on my channel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you have coffee?
And like, who wants to like Jay? You've been podcasting since 2005. There's nothing worse than when a recording gets corrupted and you have to redo an episode and talk about it all over again. So to talk about the same episode again in the same day isn't the most fun, but I like this show so much. I want to do this. Yeah. It's not like I'm like forced to do this. I could have easily said, nah, go ahead, take it over. Yeah. But no, I just, watching you and Matt, the first episode you guys did, I was like, oh man, I want to talk to these guys about this show because I'm sitting there doing in the chat going, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, so last week I was like, if you need me, I want to talk about this show some more. And even though this was my least favorite of the 4 episodes, there's still, I want to talk about this show because it feels like classic Star Wars to me. The Star Wars I loved growing up. It's not too flashy. It doesn't rely on cameos. It's just, here are these 2 characters that you know from one trilogy and another trilogy. Yeah. And it's like, we're going to focus on these 2 and see what happened between those things. And it's like, I'm getting the excitement that I got when the prequels were announced, except I feel like right now in the moment it's delivering more than the prequels did. I've come around and I've come to really appreciate the prequels and enjoy them, but this is almost delivering on what I wanted from the prequels, like a really good Obi-Wan and Anakin story. So yeah, I mean, I love it.
Yeah. Matt, your final thoughts.
I'm glad that we're getting a series. I know that some people would probably rather have this be a movie, but if that means that I'm getting another extra 45 minutes with this Leia character, or another extra 45 minutes with seeing Kenobi and Vader, or another hour of these characters because I'm getting a TV show, then by all means, yes, please. So I really do enjoy it. I read something about Tala was potentially, or early on, was going to be a love interest of Kenobi's. I don't know if that's just a rumor or hearsay. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was Tara Sanub was the one Jedi that was in the Amber. He was in an episode of Clone Wars. Did a Jedi
a really good episode with.
It is a good one with Ahsoka and the Lost Lightsaber. Yeah, that's a good standalone episode that you could just watch on its own. So if you're unfamiliar with Clone Wars, or if you're just dabbling in the Clone Wars, the one that connects to this episode's worth
I know
watching.
that reference.
I believe
No,
I guess he isn't. I thought I had him in screen memes. No, yeah, he is. Okay, good. I did have a meme for
so the other thing that I wanted to just say is I'm excited for screen memes. This is my favorite part of the show. I wish more podcasts had this, including the one that I do.
The beauty of Geek Dead Life 2 Geeky TV and Film Reviews is it's a video show. It's a live video show.
I won't describe the memes this time.
I don't have to give a crap about audio because it's
love it.
You're watching it. I'm not posting this on a podcast feed.
Count me in.
All right. So it's been good. We have 2 more episodes left.
2 more. Can't wait.
Matt, I think you say you might be gone next week, so maybe it's just you and me and Ralph, you and I next week.
I'm gonna miss talking to you guys about it.
Go on vacation with.
Vacation. It's summertime. Somebody wants to travel.
I don't know if you know this, but I have a show, and I invited Matt to be on next week, and he said no, he's going to be on vacation.
I had a contract clause with Jay. He wouldn't let me out. So
no.
I'm an exclusive Jay and Jack, so
I haven't asked Jay to be on the show this season.
Yeah, you haven't, Ralph. I kind of feel offended. I've been on everything so far. At least I did
Mandalorian
and Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not here next week, I will be back for the final episode, maybe on both podcasts. Who knows? Or both shows, excuse me. Both YouTube shows.
I can tell how much you've just been in the podcast world, man. Show.
It's like I've been in a detention box or like out in the jail.
You're
cell.
Free now. You have visuals. It's more than just audio. Anyway, Matt repeatedly describing the images had me on the floor last.
It was all like subconscious too.
Yes,
like,
it was.
Could not help it from happening.
I could not help it. No, that's me. That's all on me.
All right. Let's get it started here. Let's bring up our screen memes for episode 4 of Obi-Wan. I will say it's a little bit harder to find the memes today. Was it not as much crazy things? I think there's some good stuff here. But yes, here we go. When there is no back to tank flashback to the Clone Wars, it's outrageous. It's unfair.
It's Obi-Wan. He's doing this to me.
He's holding me back.
He is. We needed a flashback.
Next up here. It's a little small. There we go. A lot of stuff. Tomb in the Fortress, Obi-Wan being hunted by Vader and the Inquisitors, Bale and Bray not knowing if their daughter is safe, Leia being tortured for answers, and then Luke farming on Tatooine.
It's just, I want to describe the image, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Go ahead.
It's a car accident, and there's this guy who, like, just mowing his lawn, not looking at it. So beautiful. You could have used a tornado one too, like a tornado and a guy mowing the lawn. Mm-hmm. Love it.
All right, next up, like similar, Obi-Wan being hunted by every Inquisitor Imperial imaginable, Yoda chilling on Dagobah.
I thought that was a picture of Baby Yoda at first, which made me wonder, could Grogu be in the Amber and is rescued in Bad Batch? Throwing it out there.
Ooh,
that's my crackpot theory.
I like that.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun to like find this episode and
say, oh, there's this one random dude that doesn't do a podcast was right.
Mike wants to know, wait, what's the image? I have no idea. Go ahead, Matt. Give it
it's a little Yoda, and he's taking a nap, and he's like comfortably sleeping. Yoda just chilling on Dagobah.
All right, next up, Kenobi then so uncivilized with the blaster. Kenobi now.
I love the picture at the bottom because it's just so many guns on the wall, like too many guns that one person could hold. So and then they just photoshopped a Kenobi face on this really buff dude. I mean, I don't even know what movie that's from. So,
I have no idea.
So
I pulled these from the internet, so who knows?
I'll keep
right.
describing.
This one, I did say we'd have a reference here.
Oh my god!
The image of what's the Jedi's name again? I forget his name.
Tara Sanoob.
Tara Sanoob, thank you. And then it's just lie down, trying to cry a lot.
Oh, that's so funny.
It didn't hit too hard because he was really old and
He was.
He lived a full life.
It was kind of like seeing my grandfather's tomb. I was just like, okay, he had a good life. I'm still gonna cry. I'm still gonna do
absolutely.
it. Absolutely. Try not to.
I mean, train Count Dooku for Pete's sake. So like, it's just.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, he needs to suffer for sins.
Next meme.
Ooh.
First here. Let me bring it. The border is blocking it a little bit. Hold on. Sorry.
Oh, you always bring out the blue jokes here at the end of the show. And I do mean by blue as in blue lightsaber.
It is, yes. We have Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber scene, and then we have what's that British show?
Graham Norton.
Look
Graham
who's talking,
Norton.
Nick. No. Look who's talking now.
That's effing Obi-Wan Kenobi. That was.
I love that. Yeah. I like the image too because it's very commanding. Like he actually took down some, and Leia's off to the side, just looking at him like, "Ooh, that's a Jedi."
It's a really good shot because you have Leia there, you have the dead stormtrooper, and you have Obi-Wan being Obi-Wan. It's the thumbnail for this episode. I think it's almost exactly.
And Ewan McGregor looking so hot.
The thumbnail I used for my episode was Obi-Wan and Tala leaving with Princess Leia under the jacket.
Oh my god, we didn't talk about this. This scene had me dying laughing. Our entire family was laughing. It was like, how many kids can you fit under a trench coat?
It was like Three Stooges episode.
It was so good. I love that.
Tala and Obi-Wan walking through the fortress Inquisitors, very clearly hidden under his cloak.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Little Parks and Rec
Ralphio and his sister from
Mona Lisa. Yeah.
Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, yes.
By the way, that's from the series final of Parks and Rec, and it still is so hilarious when they fake their deaths. I love it. Sorry, spoilers. Spoilers for all of.
Spoilers. They don't die.
They don't die.
So we have that, and then we have Dustin from Stranger. Dude, you did it! You want to fight?
I like how it's grumpy Obi-Wan Kenobi's face looking back at him too. It's like craggy, old. So good.
Speaking of which, Stranger Things 4, Volume 1. Myself and a good friend of mine, Dom, will be covering that tomorrow night on Geek Dead Life 2 Geeky TV and Film Reviews. Because when I asked Ralph if he had watched, he was like, "I hate Stranger Things."
Oh.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy that I said that.
So wild.
You're gonna kill the whole time.
Here's the thing, like you guys make fun of me for hating Clone Wars and Rebels when I actually have watched them and have enjoyed them. I just don't want to cover them on my show, live action Star Wars. But with Stranger Things, I did not care for the finale of season 1, and Jay did not like that I didn't care for it, and so he was yelling at me, telling me why I was wrong, instead of just, hey, listen, I'm not going on Stranger Things message boards and saying how it ruined my adulthood and blah blah blah. I just know I didn't care for it. So what I did was disengage from that show and let the world do its thing.
Oh, that's nice. You were a good fan.
Yeah, it's the right way to do it.
So like for Jay to say Ralph hates it, I'm not that kind of fan. Same with Walking Dead.
I do have some things to say about it, but I'll save my comments on here. So about this season.
But it was funny that he asked, like, "You watch Stranger Things 4 yet?" And I said, "Dude, I haven't watched Stranger Things 2 yet."
I was like, "Oh, okay, well."
Homer meme of Jay backing into a bush.
Yeah, it's pretty much
Homer meme.
Like, forget I asked. But a buddy of mine, Dom, who does like Stranger Things, and he streams on Twitch. Athletic Geek, I believe, is his Twitch stream. fledgling YouTuber streamer. So happy to get him on here to hang out on Geek Dad Life too. Matt, if you're a busy guy, so you're more than welcome as well, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Vacation over here. You're a busy guy. What's up?
Next week, Ralph. 1 week. That's all I'm asking for. Maybe, I don't know. Trying to get out of Dodge.
Maybe look at the television schedule before you start, scheduling vacations.
Okay.
Planning trips.
Am I on the RCAD? Because that's another podcast that people just pick on me about. But I like coming on here and picking on Ralph. It's like a little. It's like a little.
It's
good
more
guy
situation.
Yeah.
Let's just all pick on Nick.
Yeah, Nick deserves it the most.
Let's just pick on Nick.
All right, this one. I love the spoilers without context, so I got one here for episode 4.
I feel like since this has no captions,
mm-hmm.
I would love to hear Matt's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt, describe
so I'm just going to say it's Fry Frozen from Futurama.
Mm-hmm.
We also have so take of that what you will. We have Homer clearly under a large trench coat going up to the comic book guy, and I assume he's like
Milhouse legs.
It looks like Milhouse. Yeah,
it does look like. I'd like to see what you have. I don't know what he's going to say. And then
That's my favorite one.
We have Mike Kozowski about ready Kozowski from Monsters Inc. He's about ready to get the fear sucked out of him. And then lastly, we have the Game of Thrones. This is not Game of Thrones.
Not Game of Thrones. Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. Thank you for saving me from 1,000 arrows. By the way, I just watched the Lord of the Rings series. It's only because the actor is the same.
Sean Bean. Yeah, Sean Bean.
Thank you.
It makes it about just as long in both.
This is no mine. It's a tomb. So that's good. That's my favorite actually of the 3. And thank you for letting me describe all.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So
all
hope
right.
you enjoyed it.
Next up here. Oh wait, where is it? Was that it? Oh, that's the last one. Okay, that's the last meme for Screen Me.
We did it.
Loved that.
Oh my gosh. All right. As we wrap up this show, Matt, where can people find you on the internets?
Hopefully nowhere. I'm just trying to hide from people. But if you do like what I do, you can always go over to janejack.com. I'm on Ramblecast After Dark, as well as Owen and Brews Barbecue, whenever I can get the other podcasters to talk. In the meantime, I'm always happy to talk with Ralph and Jay about Star Wars because they love it and we love to talk Star Wars.
Yeah.
So.
Agree. Ralph, some people here didn't realize that you do another you have a YouTube channel dedicated to Star Wars, and not just live action stars. So this is like right up the wheelhouse here for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
My favorite thing about we were trying to do when we're coming up with a name, I'm like, I only want to talk about live action stuff. So we're like, oh, let's do live action heroes. Like that'll be fun. And it was taken.
Oh.
So I was just like, how about live action Star Wars? And what's great about calling it live action Star Wars is it gets said a lot in interviews when people are talking about the series, any series in general. They mention live action Star Wars, and I love taking those clips and posting them on Twitter as if they're talking about us. They're not. Because we're not that big. We're fairly fresh. So in all sincerity, like we could use the subscribers. And if you want to just dip your toe in the water before you subscribe, there's a terrific episode where me and my co-host James talk about Star Wars toys with Jay and John from Toy Geeks.
Yeah.
And it was a really fun episode.
It was.
And I think sooner than later, I'd like to just do it again and just chat because it was so much fun. So check that out. It'll be easy to find. Just look for that Toy Geeks logo.
Yeah.
And you'll see a picture of my Boskin and mini rig.
Love that.
So just look for that artwork and check that episode out, if anything. And then join us every Wednesday.
Yeah, and the thing is, you do it Wednesday mornings, live. You can watch it afterwards. Great channel. So much great content on that channel. Absolutely worth the subscribe.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a Star Wars fan. And on Toy Geeks this coming Sunday, John and I are definitely going to talk about those reveals for Star Wars today, because they're doing vintage retro figures from this series. And we got Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, the first vintage style Darth Vader ever that doesn't have the lightsaber coming out of his hand. So it's a big change.
Big change coming.
A big change.
That'd be nice to have one loose, just with the,
That's true. That's very true. But anyway, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the people that made this show possible. The patrons of Geek Dad Life. You can find a full list of them right here. For only $5 a month, you get access to our special exclusive live stream after Toy Geeks on Sunday nights. You get your credits in every single episode. You get access to our exclusive Discord, and you get entered into a raffle every single month. So thank you to the patrons that help this channel grow. And yeah, I think that's it. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Today, if Ralph's available, it may just be Ralph and me. If none of them are available, I'll find somebody else. But we'll be here to talk about Star Wars tomorrow on Geek Dead Life 2, Geeky TV and Film Reviews. We'll talk about Season 4, Volume 1 of Stranger Things. My buddy Dom from Athletic Geek. And Geek Dad Life Prime will be Toy Geeks on Sunday. So everybody take care. Thank you so much. And until next time, hasta luego and goodbye.